thank you for blowing the whistle on that. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, I have a sincere point of inquiry. Rule 11, Clause 2.
The gentleman is not recognized.
I have a question about the rules.
Mr. Lynch for 5 minutes.
A point of order, a question about the rules.
Point of order. State your point of order.
The point of order is why does Rule 11, Clause 2, subsection E1A not apply to this subcommittee? I can read for you. Each committee shall keep a complete record of all committee action, which shall include, in the case of a meeting or hearing transcript, a substantially verbatim account of remarks actually made during the proceedings, subject only to some technical things. Such records shall be the property of the House, and each member, delegate, and the resident commissioner shall have access thereto. Why does that not apply? Where is the whistleblower exception in the rules of Congress that says that does not apply?
It's the prerogative of the committee to decide.
No,
it's
the rules of the House.
We have the whistleblower testimony. The whistleblower does not wish that to be made available to the Democrats at this time.
The whistleblower doesn't make committee rules, sir.
Mr. Lynch is recognized for 5 minutes of questioning.
Mr. Chairman, is the ruling of the chair always unquestioned, or do we have a vote on how some of these issues are decided?
If you state a proper point of order, and there's some kind
I just did state a point of order.
The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized for 5 minutes of question.
That was Democrat Daniel Goldman holding Jim Jordan to account after he decided, by edict, that he would unilaterally rewrite the rules of the House of Representatives to better suit the Republicans. Because, per usual, there's nothing bigger than small government Republicans. And Goldman wasn't the only Democrat who found issue with what Jim Jordan was doing in terms of changing the rules in real time.
Will you give us a copy of that testimony that was transcribed of your discussions with him?
That'll be up to Mr. Allen.
But you are in possession of them, aren't you?
Sure are.
So why would you not give them to us?
Because Mr. Allen's a whistleblower and he didn't want that to happen.
He didn't want, but he's comfortable here in open discussion with us today?
Sure is. You can ask him questions if you want.
You don't share your information with the minority?
Nope.
No, so you're not sharing information that you've obtained.
I find it incredible that evidence that one side has garnered is not going to be shared with the other side. That is not how committees work.
It's my understanding that the minority in this committee under the rules is entitled to the same testimony, information, documents that the majority is entitled to. So, I mean, I'm not aware that you're able to withhold information from the minority that we would need to use to prepare for.
When it comes to whistleblowers, you're not. And I would just remind the committee, remind everyone. Look, when it comes to whistleblowers, you are not.
That's not right.
Now, so as not to bury the lead here, the only thing less legitimate than Jim Jordan's handling of this committee is the basis for the committee itself. This whole charade is part of the Republicans' claims that the federal government is weaponized against them, because victimhood is already their entire MO, so why not just codify it with an official subcommittee? At the heart of Republicans' claims that the government has been weaponized against conservatives today were three self-described FBI whistleblowers. Whistleblowers, by the way, whose security clearances were revoked because either they attended the insurrection on January 6th or espoused conspiracy theories about the attack supporting the events of January 6th. For example,
might it cause you some concern? Let me show some tweets on the screen from Mr. Hill. This one, he had theories about January 6th that it was instigated by the deep state, not by insurrectionists who were up to no good seeking to hang the vice president, Republican vice president, I might add, of the United States, or other depredations. It was the deep state that led to this. Are you familiar with that tweet?
No.
Here's another one. Are you familiar with this tweet? In which he talked again that the deep state is real on the January 6th insurrection.
Just to be clear, I'm not familiar with any of his tweets. We just believe that it can be helpful for people to have counsel, and we were willing to assist in that way.
Well, but isn't it also helpful to kind of know a little bit of background when you are providing counsel?
in other words, the Republicans are crying foul because the FBI revoked security clearances of people who believe that an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol instigated and carried out by Donald Trump and his supporters was actually instigated and carried out by their own agency as a way to frame Donald Trump. And we're supposed to believe that them losing their security clearances was a bad thing? That it was evidence of bias within the federal government? That far-right conspiracy theorists were punished for espousing far-right conspiracy theories? I'm sorry, but give me a break. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and suggest that maybe, just maybe, our intelligence agencies shouldn't coddle or even employ idiots who fall for the most basic debunked far-right propaganda. Just, for starters. In fact, I want to give concrete examples here so you know exactly the kind of people who Republicans have pinned their hopes on here. One of the witnesses present during this hearing was Marcus Allen. While at the FBI, Allen claimed not to be able to find information about a suspect involved in January 6th, but when a separate FBI employee searched for information, that person found the suspect physically assaulted Capitol Police officers during the insurrection. Funny how that little tidbit slipped through Allen's fingers. The FBI said its investigation showed Allen had questionable judgment, unreliability, and an unwillingness to comply with rules and regulations, indicating that he could not properly safeguard classified or sensitive information. Another witness was Steve Friend. Friend objected to using a SWAT team to arrest an insurrectionist. The FBI then revealed that Friend, quote, entered FBI space and downloaded documents from FBI computer systems to an unauthorized removable flash drive on September 3rd, 2022. Friend also participated in multiple unapproved media interviews, including an interview with a Russian government news agency, and recorded a meeting with FBI management that may have violated Florida state law. So yeah, some real heroes here. Can't imagine why the FBI would possibly have wanted to revoke their security clearances. And let's be clear, these people are not actually whistleblowers. They're calling themselves whistleblowers, their attorneys are calling them whistleblowers, and of course, Republicans are calling them whistleblowers, but these people are no more whistleblowers than I am. For example, Friend filed a whistleblower complaint to the Justice Department Inspector General and a complaint with the U.S. Office of Special Counsel, and both entities rejected his claims, which is to say, no matter how much these people want to be whistleblowers, they're not. They want to benefit from the gravitas of being labeled whistleblowers, the protections afforded to them by being whistleblowers, without actually being whistleblowers. In reality, these people are just conspiracy theorists who decided that actually January 6th was good, and that when the FBI revoked the security clearances of people who supported an insurrection against our own government, because of course it did, now these people have decided that they're victims, that they're being prosecuted for their beliefs. And Jim Jordan and the rest of the Republican circus are not only humoring them, but wasting everyone's time with a whole committee dedicated to this bullshit. Republicans claim to be against government waste. I'd suggest they take a long, hard look in the mirror after today. And Representative Connolly pointed that out exactly.
On this hearing, y'all have employment grievances. That doesn't make you whistleblowers. And maybe those grievances are legitimate, or maybe some aspects of it are legitimate, and all of you have careers, and I'm sorry for the situation in which you find yourselves. But this is not a forum for individual members of any agency, federal agency, unless there's a broad pattern of discrimination or violation of law, to air their grievances, their employment grievances. And I must say, listening to this hearing, I don't walk away convinced of anything other than we're listening to sad tales of certain individuals about their situation. And the enumeration of grievances does not constitute whistleblower status. And I'm not quite sure why we had this hearing. I certainly don't think it proves some consistent pattern of wrongdoing by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And I've heard some things here that run counter to the history of the FBI. The gentlelady, I think, from Florida said, like a new idea that they got in the intelligence business, that would have come as news to J. Edgar Hoover, who loved intelligence and in fact preferred it over some forms of law enforcement. Had a whole network in South America he had to dismantle when President Truman told him he had to get out of that business. So thank you for being here, but I must tell you I leave more skeptical and with more questions about the nature of this hearing than I began.
Now, let's be clear about why the GOP is so hell-bent on doing this. Why waste all of this time and energy platforming this nonsense, dressing up these employment grievances as if they're legitimate whistleblower complaints? Put simply, it is because Donald Trump is running for president, and this committee is a way to legitimize this idea that January 6th was warranted, because then Trump doesn't seem like the criminal he is for having incited an insurrection. The Republicans are, per usual, using every shred of their political capital to run cover for Trump. And if that means they they have to pretend that the FBI was in the wrong for revoking the clearances of some MAGA devotees who supported an insurrection, then clearly that's what they're going to do. Because their goal since before January 6, 2021, all the way up to today, is to pretend that the election was stolen and that the insurrection was warranted. Because make no mistake, if they have the chance, they're going to do it again. And they want to make sure that they're unified and prepared to ensure that it won't fail like it did the last time. So if Republicans are actually looking to find evidence of the government being weaponized, we're looking at it right here. Before you go, I need your help. I'm right on the cusp of hitting 2 million subscribers, so please help me grow this channel so the progressive media ecosystem grows by hitting the subscribe button right here on the screen. I also started a Spanish channel so we can finally start regaining some of that lost ground among Spanish speakers, so if you want to help support those efforts, you can hit that subscribe button. And finally, if you listen to podcasts and you want to support mine, you'll find a link to that on the screen as well. Thanks so much for watching.